Hello, and welcome to the Empowered Couples Podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Jocelyn Freeman, and if you're a frequent listener, you can tell that it's going to be just me today, not with my husband, Aaron, which is kind of funny given that we're talking about intimacy today, but the reality is we're on holiday break. Our daughter's school is closed. We've got family in town, and that's real life. So we are having to divide and conquer. But at the same time, we're talking about intimacy, and it still can be a priority. And so I've got a lot that we're going to cover because for us personally, this is a top priority for us in 2025. Of course, intimacy is always a focus of our life, of our years, but we always set goals or intentions. And not that we have a specific number of a goal, but we have an intention to have our intimate life, both emotional and physical, be more of a priority than any year, right? Because we can have our attention go in all these different places. And so, if you haven't already listened to some of our prior episodes where we talk about intention setting and getting on the same page, we have an entire family meeting guide where you can really establish what your focus is going to be for the year as a couple in terms of your relationship. So, I've got a lot that I want to cover for you. Let me just kind of give you a quick breakdown of the sections. So, I'm going to cover first why it's important for a marriage. What is intimacy really, especially the longer that you're together? Ideas that get in the way of intimacy, and how to make it a priority practically. Again, real life, because we're real people, we're parents, we're running a business, we've got family in town, we've got errands to run. So, we are going to talk very practically how to make it a priority. Now, before we dive into this, and I've got a lot of notes again, because it's time sensitive, I want to mention this at the beginning. So, we have announced a special edition 30-day couples challenge called The Best of Us. And it starts January 1st, and it's going to close the rest of the year. So, I want to make sure I tell you about this because you're not going to be able to do it in February or March or April or anything like that. We're going to make this a special thing for January to start the year. And we created this really because you all asked for it. We have two very successful challenges called Prioritizing Us and Rebuilding Us that we've had over 36,000 couples do and love. And constantly we're asking us for another round of prompts. So we made this for you. And not only are they completely new, brand new prompts for you, but the focus is different. And we've got 3 types of prompts in this challenge: intimacy activities, connection prompts, and appreciation gestures. So go read all the details. You don't have to listen to me about it, but go to mycouplechallenge.com/best. So you have to put in that slash so that you go to this page for the special edition. Like I said, it's starting January 1st, and you're not going to be able to do it the rest of the year. So don't miss it. I don't want you to have FOMO and then have to wait a year to sign up. So go again to mycouplechallenge.com/best. But given that that is a focus, being the best of us, intimacy is a part of that. And I know as a couple, we've been together over a decade. Again, we're busy, we're parents. We know that this area of a relationship can, have its peaks and valleys, right? There might be seasons where you're feeling on point, and then seasons where it's maybe put to the wayside. And some of that's natural, right? And some of that it's not about it being wrong. That can happen. For example, illness happens. You have a newborn. You're just crazy stressed and busy about something, an ill family member, a financial issue. Like, it's natural that there might be times where it gets deprioritized. And there are times where we need to realize we've been just putting this on the back burner, and we've been making some of the mistakes that I'm going to cover as we go further into this, and we have not been showing up fully for each other and making this area a priority. So I'm going to cover first, why is it important? In all of the marriage research, and there's a lot, and we've read countless studies, like, we're kind of geeky in that we love just reading research, like real studies that happen. And one of the themes that you can see throughout is that closeness, and they'll use different terminology for that, but closeness, feeling connected, is everywhere in research as one of the determinants for being able to be together for life. Because we don't want to survive a partnership. Nobody wants to survive and say, yeah, let's just stick it out 50 years. And what do people want in a romantic partnership, right? What makes us different than friends or good, house managers or life managers, which, don't get me wrong, that's certainly a part of it. There are aspects of our marriage that are somewhat roommate like, in the sense that we need to manage our household, we need to manage tasks. We each have those logistical things that we're covering. And there are absolutely aspects of our relationship that are very friendship oriented and where we truly do feel like we are each other's best friend. But we also still want that extra layer of a romantic partnership. And so, again, connection is so crucial. And intimacy, again, which is both physical and emotional. I'm not just talking about bedroom time throughout that, although I am going to give some specific things to make bedroom time, that's just what I'm going to call it, a priority and a part of intimacy. But it's really about intimacy in general, which is closeness. And so it is, in all of research, one of the main things that is important to feeling satisfied, feeling fulfilled in a partnership throughout the decades that we know you want to be together. So closeness being critical. It also has a ripple effect. I'm sure that you can see correlations between when your intimacy has been strong and how you feel in all areas of your relationship. Your communication is easier and more smooth, and you're able to listen to each other because, again, there's like this bond between you two. There's this feeling of, all right, we might be disagreeing right now or not seeing eye to eye, but I know we've got each other's back, and I know you love me, you want me, you appreciate me, because, again, your intimacy is on point. So you know what? We can work through this. So it helps with that resilience, that bounce back, because I can also imagine that you see correlations between when your intimacy is not on point and the disagreement not only sucks because, it maybe gets a little out of hand and, it becomes a bigger conflict. But then not only did we have an argument, but we also have not had great intimacy in the bedroom for days, maybe weeks for some people, or I don't feel like you touch me that much anymore, or it doesn't even seem like you want me anymore, and it can feel so discouraging. So again, it has a ripple effect for the positive or the negative. It is so much easier to work through things when you feel that sense of love, desire, and intimate connection. It also is huge in prevention. It's in preventing things that you're going to need to repair from in your relationship. Because, again, we need to, like, one of the innate things that we have is that we want to feel wanted. And who do we want to feel wanted by more than our partner? And I don't just mean physically wanted, although that's certainly part of it, but just that you want to spend time with each other, that you want to touch each other, that you want to talk to each other. That sense of feeling special and wanted is so important. And all of those behaviors are linked to creating this sense of intimacy in a relationship. It's also important, and then I'll move to the next section of this episode, because we don't get married to feel like roommates. And again, the roommate dynamic is a part of a relationship. There's logistical things to manage. Don't get me wrong. Believe us, we love our to-do lists. We love getting things done. So there's certainly a part of a relationship that does have those roommate dynamics. But we don't get married just to feel like roommates. We get married to feel like we have a romantic partner. And romance, I know, can be like overused, or people don't even really know what that means outside of like flowers and candles, right? But just romance being that juice, that spark, that energy between you two. And I'm going to, again, talk about how to practically create that. But I want to make sure in this first section that you truly get how important this is because of the ripple effect, because the immense amount of research linking intimacy, both emotional and physical, to satisfaction and fulfillment in the long term. So it's crucial. I hope you take that away. It has such a ripple effect. Now, what is it really? What is intimacy, especially the longer that you're together? Well, it isn't just about bedroom time. It isn't just about that act. It is truly about feeling safe with someone, feeling really seen by someone. It is feeling close. It's feeling that magnetism between you and the person that you love most in the relationship. And the thing is with intimacy over time is that it evolves. It isn't going to feel like it did in the beginning, certainly, but maybe even just a few years ago. Aaron and I, we've been together over a decade. We've been parents for 3 years, and our intimacy has evolved over the years. And I don't compare how it is now to how it was, because in a sense, that's just a waste of time. We aren't there. We aren't in those beginning days. That's over a decade ago. I'm focusing on right now and what do we need to do to make this more of a priority right now and to make it feel fulfilling and special and important to us in the present moment. So I say all that because intimacy is not about how it was compared to now. It is about in this moment, what is going to bring you a sense of closeness in the relationship, physical closeness and emotional closeness. And think about that as I'm describing that in your relationship, is one stronger than the other? Do you feel more physically close to them? Like maybe you actually do make time to go into the bedroom with each other and you do touch each other and you're affectionate because maybe those are your love languages naturally. But maybe your emotional connection is not really there because maybe your conversations are feeling surface level. How was your day? How'd that meeting go? Oh, what'd the teacher say about the kids with this? And don't get me wrong, those are part of conversations. It's not that those shouldn't exist, but maybe that's as far as it goes. Or maybe it could be in reverse. Maybe your emotional connection is actually really strong. You ask each other's deeper questions, you listen to each other's feelings, you share your feelings with each other. You have these like bigger, more important conversations, but maybe physical intimacy is rarely happening, or it feels infrequent, or maybe it doesn't feel that fulfilling. And so you're not desiring it as much. Okay, so just take note. This is just a moment of doing an inventory and not making it wrong. There's nothing wrong with whatever your answer is. It just is what it is in the moment. We need to accept that, embrace it, because what we resist persists. We all know that quote. Now, what are we going to do about it? And you know what? It comes down to a choice. A choice to make intimacy a priority. It doesn't happen by accident. You don't just wake up one day and be like, oh my gosh, the spark is back. I don't know how it happened. That's not the way it goes. It's not an accident. Any couple that you see where they would honestly say, yes, our intimacy's on point. We feel emotionally close and we feel physically close. They are being intentional about that through their choices. So I'm perfectly leading it into this next section. If intimacy is about both emotional and physical closeness and feeling that real intimate connection with the person you love most, then what are the ideas that get in the way? And I was just touching on that. I'll go a little bit deeper and then there's others. But it's this idea that it's going to accidentally happen. Or if we were these like two right people with the right love languages that fit in perfectly together, or you see that other couple online and they show those pictures of them on vacation and they're like always looking happy. Pictures don't paint the full picture of their lives. Don't compare to others and don't compare to your past relationship, like together. Oh, how we were a year ago, how we were 10 years ago when we first met. So it's not going to be like it was. That's the first idea that I want you to get beyond. We need to come to the present moment and focus on the choices that we're making right now together. It's not going to accidentally happen. So I really want you to get that in your mind so that you realize it's going to come down to your intention and your choice, as I said. Here's another idea that gets in the way. Does one come before the other? This is something you can even see people talking about it online. Really, in reality, one doesn't come before the other. Emotional intimacy or physical intimacy. It's not like that things in relationships are that rigid and linear. Things are co-created. They are happening simultaneously through your interactions. It's saying, okay, 2025 is coming up. We said we want our intimate life, both emotional and physical, to be a priority right now. Let's talk about and outline together, because we listened to the Freemans on this episode, and they're also doing this challenge, The Best of Us, on how we're going to focus on both. That's the mentality I want you to have, is that they are co-created and they are coexisting at the same time. We are focusing on our emotional intimacy through our interactions. And I'm going to give you, I have a specific 3 A's that I want you to focus on, especially for that sparking that emotional intimacy. But I'm more so talking about the mindset right now before I get to those very tactical things. I want you to really get, they're going to be co-created, because sometimes you'll talk to someone and they think, well, no, I don't feel close to my husband or my wife right now emotionally. We're just not there. So physical intimacy isn't even an option right now. And I just don't think that separating those is very useful or practical, because again, it's this perfect storm that happens. It's this dance between emotional and physical intimacy that coexists. So that's just the mindset, again, that I'm inviting you into, is focusing on both of them at the same time to create that dance together. Next idea that can get in the way of intimacy is that it should be like the movies, where you just are sitting there or you're having dinner and you just get this sudden burst of passion and lust for each other. Now, don't get me wrong. For some of you, maybe that is your chemistry and how it works for you, especially depending on the season of your marriage that you're in. But if you think about just the average mundane day, because some of life, there's definitely peaks and valleys, there's mundane moments and there's exciting moments. But if you think about even just us and our closest friends, who a good majority of them are parents, busy, running businesses, careers, etc., it's nighttime and you're trying to do dinner time with the kids and then clean up and then get everyone in bath and do bed. I'm sorry, but we're not sitting at dinner suddenly with this burst of passion for each other. Or even at the end of the night, once our daughter's in bed and we do have the house cleaned up, I'm not just spontaneously I have this sudden urge to be intimate. I'm going to again get to how we create that spark, but I want to burst this idea of you comparing to the movies, because that is scripted. And a lot of those movies, think about it. When is it? It's in the honeymoon stage. It's in the honeymoon stage of their relationship. They don't show them 10 years in the movies, right? And so just get over comparing yourself to the movies. And there's a lot of research when you even read things by intimacy experts, even sex therapists. They often categorize into 2 different types, right? And there are a lot of people who fall into the type of being responsive, which means that you actually respond to the environment that is occurring right now to then feel like being physically intimate. You're not as much of spontaneously, again, getting this urge to be intimate. So maybe that's even an aha for you, is, oh, I thought I was expecting myself to spontaneously just desire intimacy with my husband or my wife. Oh, it's okay that I'm the responsive type. It's okay that, us sitting on the couch and just scrolling our phones doesn't turn me on. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. I need the environment and the dynamic between us, the energy, to then be able to respond to and feel that desire or that opening to be intimate. So again, do not compare to the movies. and don't expect yourself to be a certain type around intimacy. I do think it's important because as I go into the practical ways to make this a priority, and I'm going to give you some, specific ideas. None of this is about you forcing yourself. I just want to make sure this is clear. Like, we do not see intimacy as an obligation. It is not something that just because you're married, it is something you have to force upon yourself. That's not the energy or the belief that we have or that we hope you have. If you're depleted, if you're exhausted, if you aren't taking care of yourself, you need to take care of yourself. Maybe that needs to be a top priority too, alongside with intimacy is wow, I need to take care of myself, self-care, exercise, spend time with friends, sleep more. I want to make sure that's clear. We're not asking you to be, if you're with a newborn and you're sleeping 3 hours a night, oh, we have to force intimacy. No, no, no. We're talking about you making sure you take care of yourselves as individuals and you're taking care of your relationship, which again, we believe these all can coexist. They can all be priorities together. Now, I have one more caveat to express, and this is really important again before I get into the practical ways to make this a priority, is that in order to want to be intimate with someone or to make this a priority, especially for women, and I'm speaking for women because I am a woman and I talk to a lot of women, and this is a big area that men are even wanting more insight into women. We need to feel completely safe and vulnerable with our partner. And yes, physical safety should be an obvious one. I'm talking about emotional safety. And what keeps us from feeling that? What keeps us from feeling emotionally safe or that we can be vulnerable with our partner? Well, when there aren't apologies from our partner, when it takes days to repair from an argument, when we aren't able to express our feelings without getting defensive or just logical responses, that's going to make us close up. And our bodies, again, I'm speaking from this perspective because I'm a woman, our bodies biologically and primally have to feel safe and that we can be vulnerable in order to want to be physically intimate with our partner. And so I say all that because, again, none of this, what I'm about to describe as ways to make this a priority, should outweigh what is equally important, which is that you are taking responsibility for your actions. You apologize. You repair after arguments. You listen instead of getting defensive, that you try to empathize with your partner's feelings. And that is so important because, again, I know that that's a big part of what makes me want to open up more physically is feeling that emotional safety and that I can be vulnerable. So I really, really hope you take that to home as I go into, again, these more practical strategies. It is so important. I mean, nothing is more intimate than intimacy, which I know that seems funny to combine those words, but really think about what is more intimate than intimacy, both physical and emotional with someone. That means we're opening up to our partner fully. So we need to feel that safety and that we can be really vulnerable. I keep saying that because I really want to make sure that's hitting home with you. All right, now let's get to some of this fun, practical stuff. I really hope those mindset points are like going to stick with you because that is a large percentage of making this an area that thrives, is how you think about it, overcoming some of those thoughts that block you. All right, how to make it a priority practically. Number one, you've got to combat complacency. Now, look, it's natural to get comfortable in a relationship. That's going to happen because you kind of get used to a routine, right? Like in the beginning, you're like, ooh, are they going to text me back? And oh, are they going to, hold my hand? Like all of those like unknowns in the beginning. But then as you're together years and years and decades, even, you're going to get comfortable with each other. That's natural. And somewhat, that's a good thing that you get comfortable with each other. That's different than complacency. And complacency is when you start to take each other for granted. You think things just should be a certain way without the effort that you're putting towards it. that you kind of let yourself get away with giving maybe 20% effort in your day to day interactions. Or again, that you're just going to have your intimate life thrive when you're really not putting that much into it. So you've got to combat complacency. And again, that comes from your intention of how you're going to wake up and what kind of a partner you're going to be. I want you, if anything that you take away from this, before I even go into even more tactical things, if you take away one thing from this episode, it's that you need to decide what kind of a partner you're going to be in 2025. Really, I don't care how long you've been together. I don't care what your 2024 was like. I want to know what kind of a partner you are going to be. And that's why we called our challenge The Best of Us, to bring out the best in each other and your relationship, because that's what we want for you. And it comes from your intention. It doesn't happen by accident. Next way to make intimacy more of a priority is to vocalize more out loud what you love and appreciate about each other. Do a quick check-in. Do you express more feedback, criticisms, just little nitpicking? Or do you express more appreciation, love, positivity? It needs to be more of the latter of what I just said. Because when we say more out loud what we love and appreciate about each other, it's encouraging, it's motivating, it sparks positive energy. And this is leading me into a big part of the next things I'm going to cover is when you think about the spark, which again is going to be different than the spark of the honeymoon stage because we're not there. We already covered that. But the spark now at year 10, at year 20, at year 30, it is coming from the energy that you two are creating in your dynamic. And how does that happen? I want you to think about these three things. And so I've got 3 A's, okay? Because I think it's just easier to remember when you got something like that. The 3 A's to really start to create more of that spark and that energy between you two, which is again linked to combating that complacency, is about your attitude, your actions, and the appreciation that you're expressing towards each other. That is going to spark more attraction for each other. So there's another A. Maybe this is a 4 A's thing. The attitude that you wake up with, that you walk into the room with, that you have at dinner on an average day. What is that attitude? Second, what are your actions? Are you complacent? Are you in a routine? Are you on autopilot? Or are you waking up and doing little things? If you've done our Prioritizing Us challenge, you know it's all about the little love deposits. Those little things, those actions that are equally easy not to do because we can just, again, be caught up in the routine and then you forget about them or you deprioritize them. And those actions either make you feel loved and wanted and appreciated by each other or just like another object in the room. So your actions. And then third, the appreciation. And I kind of covered that with vocalizing more of that appreciation for who they are, what they do, saying positive things out loud. That is all going to create this perfect storm of creating more attractive energy. Remember that so much of this is energetic. We've all heard that phrase that a large percentage of communication, because everyone disagrees, 70%, 80%, but a large percentage of communication is nonverbal. Well, a part of that, a part of the dynamic between you two is energetic. It isn't just at the surface level of whether you hug, because you could hug but do it on autopilot. You could be, asking a question, but you're half there. So it's not just about going through the motions, it's the energy. So that's why we keep, when we're talking about our challenge, The Best of Us, even in our online content, we're using that word spark, but we're doing that intentionally because spark is an energy thing. So there's so many keys in this. I really hope you're taking away, maybe even taking notes or just the key words here, that you are focusing on your energy that you're bringing to the room and how you're creating attraction between each other. Because I don't want you to just go in the bedroom and be like, okay, let's do the thing. No, you want to be sparking that energetic attraction between you two through what I already outlined: your attitude, your actions, and the appreciation. Man, that's a masterclass. I hope you really write those things down and focus on that, because if you just focused on that alone and really consistently, that would be huge. Okay, even more tactical: prioritizing it time-wise and energy-wise. Now, everyone's schedule is different, so you need to really put this in your context. Everyone has a different schedule, work-wise, kids-wise. Some people have family around, some don't, all the things. But just some ideas to make it a priority, because you can't keep saying we don't have the time or energy. Now that you're listening to this, we're calling you out, and you can't keep saying we don't have the time or the energy. You need to get creative and you need to get resourceful. You could hire a sitter. And look, we know it costs money, but what's the priority this year? Hire a sitter and don't just go run errands. Don't just go to dinner. Focus on intimacy. You know what? Maybe dinner's boring. Maybe it'd be better if you actually went and did like salsa dance classes together. Talk about energy there. When Aaron and I have done dance classes together, because it's sexy and it does create this energetic attraction for each other. So maybe it's skipping dinner dates and doing things that are actually more creating that energy, that flirtation, that sexiness between you two. So dance classes is an idea. But regardless, maybe you need to hire a sitter to make this area more of a priority. Get time together, both bedroom time, but also time just enjoying each other's presence. Here's another practical idea. Instead of prioritizing all of the things you need to get done around the house and continuing to say we don't have the time because by the time our kids are in bed and we clean up the house, we are exhausted. Maybe you need to do those things in reverse. Get the kids to bed, go have some time together, even 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, where you're connecting emotionally and physically, because again, they can coexist. And then you clean up. So maybe you need to rearrange the priorities and the order in which you do things. Because what's really going to matter at the end of the day, when you are much older and you're reflecting back on your life? Believe us, we love a clean home. If you saw our home, it's pretty clean the majority of the time. But if we had to choose and we were like, you know what, we can either keep putting our intimate life on the back burner, or we can reverse the order and we can spend a little time being intimate, then clean up, we'll do it. Because it's about what's most important. Other ideas: get creative with your schedule in terms of work. Is it taking a work break? Again, this is all in context. Do you work from home? Do you live near your office? Can you meet up for a lunch break, right? Like, get creative with your schedule and think outside the box of it not just being at night when maybe you're tired. So think about your schedule, think about switching that up. And then here's the big thing. It's about really making it a priority in your schedule. That's the bottom line. That's what it comes down to. And maybe you need to cut some things out. Maybe this year you're not going to be a part of 5 clubs for your kids and like say yes to everything for friends and family. Sometimes we need to actually like reduce or cut out some of the things that are taking our precious energy. And I'm not saying cut out the things that are really important to you. Believe me, there's certain things that are like, no, that's important to me. Show up for my kids for this and for family for that. But there might be some extra things that are taking your energy, and you could come back and really reserve that for your intimacy. All right, next, we're going practical and we're going to wrap up here in a couple minutes. But think about intimacy starting outside the bedroom. Because when people hear that word, and I know I've been saying it throughout the episode, they immediately think about what's happening in the bed, with the door closed. But all of that I'm to be physically intimate and have that bedroom time, it starts outside the bedroom through non-sexual touch. Look, I'm going to say this time and time again because I don't think some of you are getting it. You can just walk by each other in the kitchen or the hallway, or you can touch each other as you walk by. Graze each other's back, do a little sexy touch to the butt, kiss their neck. Like, it takes 2 seconds, you guys. I don't want to hear the time excuse anymore. Now I'm going to just give you a little motivational talk. It doesn't take that much time to add 1 or 2 seconds to touch each other as you walk by or as you're putting away the dishes. Sprinkle in that flirting and that touch throughout the activities that we know you've got to do. Because again, we're just busy humans just like you. Next, because I'm talking about intimacy starting outside the bedroom, exude positive energy. Talked about that. I just want to reiterate it. What's the energy you're bringing to the room? Second, be engaged in your conversations. I know you're tired at the end of the workday, but if you're just like, oh, yeah, how was that meeting again? Are you going to be like, oh man, I'm attracted to this person. Let's go be intimate in the bedroom. No, so be engaged in your conversations. Talk about what makes each of you feel fulfilled in your intimacy. Literally talk about it. There are so many great ways to have dialogue to learn about your intimacy types and to just be able to know, like Erin and I will talk about this. What gets you most excited? What can we try? Are there things I've forgotten about that really excite you? Talk about intimacy even when you're not in that space. It brings it front of mind. Don't go to bed at separate times and don't have a TV in your bedroom. Man, those are two things that, again, covered in a lot of research that really can get in the way of intimacy is a TV in the room and going to bed at separate times. That is covered everywhere. So think about that. Maybe we need to switch up our nighttime routine. Maybe we need to actually go to bed together. And instead of TV, or maybe we watch 30 minutes of a show because we like to wind down, but then we turn off the TV and we turn towards each other and we ask each other meaningful questions that are in, by the way, the Best of Us challenge. I'm going to keep saying it because that's how much we believe in it. The Best of Us challenge is awesome. Like Erin, when we've been creating these prompts, Erin and I keep saying to each other, like, we're doing this because this is amazing. And it's not amazing because it's like grandiose things that you're doing for each other. They're realistic things, but it's the little things that sprinkle in that zest, that spark. It's the questions, it's the little things. So anyway, I don't want to spoil it. I'm just saying, go to mycouplechallenge.com/best because again, instead of just falling asleep to the TV, you could be asking each other these meaningful questions, doing these intimacy activities that we're providing for you to spark that flirtiness, that touch, that desire for each other. So shake up that routine. I've covered a lot here. I'm like looking at my notes and I'm like, wow, if you really took notes of everything that I said and acted on even 3 of the things that I said out of a lot in this outline, you'll feel a difference. So this is not about quantity of information or tactics. It's about quality and it's about consistency. A lot is here. Maybe you want to re-listen to this. Bottom line, intimacy does not thrive without intention, without effort. It really doesn't. That's the illusion that we have to overcome. It's going to come down to the choices that you make. Really remember the 3 A's I outlined: your attitude, the actions, the appreciation. And remember that these coexist. Emotional intimacy and physical intimacy are both important. They're co-created. We're making both of them a priority in 2025. And the Freemans called us out on our excuses. So we're going to overcome this. We're going to get creative because we want to be romantic partners and not just roommates. We want to function well. Yes, we do. We want to be great partners in managing life, but we also want to be fulfilled. We also want to feel wanted. We want to feel this magnetism and this energy between us because it gives us life. So I hope you're inspired by this. I am. This is a priority for us. I'm focusing on this. We're focusing on this, and we hope that you will with us. So again, follow up, do these things, implement them, and do not miss the Best of Us 30-Day Couples Challenge. I really don't want it to be February and you're like, oh my gosh, we should have signed up because it's going to be closed. We're closing it until next year. So go to mycouplechallenge.com/best. Sign up. It's worth it. Worst case scenario, let's say you're traveling for half the month. It's okay. You can pause the challenge. You can say, hey, we wanted to sign up so that we could actually get in, but can we pause it and start on January 15th or February 1st even? So you can pause it if you really need to for the month of January, but you just have to sign up. So everyone, we want nothing more than for 2025 to be the best year yet in your partnership. It's going to come down to those choices. Now, there's probably a lot of new listeners here. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you can hear past and future episodes. There's so many topics that we've covered. And if you've been listening a little while, it helps so much if you put a rating on whichever platform. Hopefully you feel we're worthy of 5 stars. That really helps us get the message out there. And we can't wait to talk to you guys on the next episode.